Hi, everyone. I'm going to take you through how to access the Math Course 3 scope and sequence. So first, I'm going to navigate to the website. It's a Google site. So I go to sites.google.com/Jefferson Union.net JUHSD math. Should also be in an email that Lori Robinson sends out. And here's the homepage for the math scope and sequence. If you hover above Math Course 1, you'll see the units related to it. Same with Course 2 and Course 3. You'll notice that if I hover above resources, nothing happens. That's because there's nothing actually in the resources currently. There will be curated folders starting to populate as early as the summer, ideally. We'll be collecting resources like tasks, activities, things that will be related to Math Course 1, 2, and 3, but they will be curated by a couple of people. So stay tuned for that. Now I want to show you about Course 3. If I click on Course 3, it takes me here, and on the landing page is what we're calling the Math Course 3 crosswalk. What that is it has the units, the standards they're based on, a rough time frame. And I say rough because in general, this whole document is a first draft. It is a work in progress. So we'll definitely be seeking feedback on this over the next year. You'll see here where the units occur in the Big Ideas textbook, but we are not letting the textbook drive what we're teaching. We're looking at the standards to drive that. Speaking of the standards, if you click on the standards, it'll pull up the California Common Core State Standards. And for example, if you go to page 112, Math Course 3 is right here. However, instead of making you go there, what I've done is I've taken a screenshot and pasted it right under the crosswalk. If you look through here, you can actually see some reasoning behind why we go into law of sines and cosines and consider it as an essential standard in trigonometry. You can also see why modeling shows up enough so that we're going to treat it a little bit differently than it's normally treated. So let me show you what, before I get there, let me show you explain what I mean by the modeling as a little bit differently. You'll see right here that this says in progress and there's no hyperlink to it. You'll see here as you hover over it, there's nothing actually in modeling yet. That's because that will be designed this summer. The idea behind it is that modeling comes up as an overall idea in Course 3, where students are expected to figure out what type of function best models different kinds of data. So for example, instead of just doing polynomial functions where we model data by a polynomial function, just do it with a rational function, just do it with trig, we are going to have a unit where students have to look at data and figure out for themselves what kind of function would be a best fit, as well as how to answer more real-world questions using that model. Now, once a unit has been fleshed out, you'll notice right here, I can click on it here, or I can hover over it here. So if I click on it here, it'll bring up the Google Doc that it was originally formed with. That's in our JUHSD drive. You'll also notice that if I am hovering over here, I see it right here and I can kind of scroll through it. And similarly, I can go ahead and make it its own tab that other way. So I have a couple different ways I can make it its own tab. In looking at this, you'll see guiding questions and key ideas. That's kind of the big picture of what's going on. The essential skills and standards, that's what we want students to be able to do. They're more discrete skills. They're more something that students can compute, can calculate, can Recognize, can graph, can do. Under objectives, this is where the conceptual understanding of what's going on in this unit is explained a little bit better. So for example, this is not student-friendly language. This is to try to get teachers to understand what we want students to be able to do. So for example, compare and contrast parent functions using key features, shape, increasing, decreasing, minimums, maximums, number of X and Y intercepts, domain, etc. Not all of the resources are filled out yet. This is a work in progress. We will be seeking feedback from people over the next year as well as over the summer. We're hoping to have a meeting with teachers in the beginning of the year before school starts in the beginning of August. So if you can take a look at these different units, it would be very helpful so that we can hear feedback from people later on. Thank you very much. Hope it was helpful.